So good afternoon to everyone and welcome to today's virtual design review panel meeting. This is the first item on the agenda. I'm Joe Bordoloni, host of this meeting, but panel member David Calusio will be the chair. In addition to the panel members, we have the applicant's team, city staff, members of the public, and the media observing this meeting. Members of the public are welcome to observe the meeting only, please. The session is being recorded and will be uploaded to the DRP webpage. Just a reminder to please keep your microphones muted if you're not speaking. Thank you, and David, please begin the meeting.
Good afternoon and welcome. Bill, can you please confirm the session is being recorded?
It is.
And are there any changes to the agenda today?
There are not, no.
Are there any declarations of interest from the panel members? I assume by silence that means nobody has got any conflicts on this project. Okay, the first item on the agenda today is the review of 27 King William Street. Lead planner on this file is Jennifer Allen. Good afternoon, Jennifer. We're ready for your presentation. Please keep the presentation to under 10 minutes.
Thank you, David. Share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen okay?
I think so.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Jennifer Allen. I'm a planner on the urban team in the development planning section, and I will be presenting the proposed development for 27 King William Street. So the proposal is to construct a 33 square meter, 3-story rear addition to the existing 3-story mixed-use building. The proposed addition will increase the gross floor area of the building by approximately 115 square meters and will accommodate new stairs and a new elevator, a studio space on the second floor, and one additional residential unit on the third floor. And this is for a total of 3 residential dwelling units within the building. So the subject lands are located on the north side of King William Street, between James Street North and Houston Street North. The rear of the subject property can be accessed from Houston Street North through an existing easement. So this is the view of the subject property looking north on King William Street, so the front facade of the building. And this is the view of the subject lands looking southwest from Houston Street North. So this is the rear of the subject property, and right here where my mouse is would be where the proposed addition will be. This is the view of the pedestrian access to the subject property from Houston Street North. And then this is the view of the adjacent parking area and surrounding buildings looking northwest from Houston Street North. And then this is the view of Houston Street North looking south from the subject land. And then you can see the entrance to the pedestrian access to the site that connects with the sidewalk. And then this is the view of Houston Street North looking north. So this is the ground floor plan of the proposed addition. So this shows the stairs and the new elevator. This is the second floor plan, which shows the new yoga room, the studio space, and the new elevator. And the third floor plan, which has the third apartment dwelling unit on the third floor of the building with the new elevator. And so this is the south elevation, which would be the front facade facing King William Street. And this facade is not proposed to change as a result of this proposal. And then this is the north elevation, which is the rear facade, which will be added through the addition. And then this is a rendering seen from Houston Street North of the proposed addition. So the subject lands are located within the Downtown Urban Growth Center on Schedule E of the Urban Hamilton Official Plan. and are designated as downtown mixed-use area on Schedule E1 of the Urban Hamilton Official Plan. So the Downtown Urban Growth Center shall be the preeminent node in Hamilton due to its scale, density, range of uses, function, and identity. It shall be designed with a strong pedestrian focus to create comfortable and animated pedestrian environment. The downtown mixed-use area shall serve as a central focus for the city by creating a sense of place. Increasing the number of people who work and live in the downtown shall enhance the day and night activity and contribute to the planned function as a vibrant people place. So some urban design policies within the Urban Hamilton Official Plan include respecting existing character, development patterns, built form, and landscapes, promoting quality design consistent with the locale and surrounding environment, contributing to the character and ambiance of the community through appropriate design of streetscapes and amenity areas. New development on pedestrian-focused streets shall enhance pedestrian comfort and street activity, and complementing the existing massing patterns, rhythm, character, color, and surrounding context. So the subject property is located within the Downtown Hamilton Secondary Plan and is designated as downtown mixed use, pedestrian focus. So pedestrian focused streets are intended to cater to the pedestrian by creating a comfortable, active, and visually stimulating walking environment. Buildings should maintain a complete street wall and provide an uninterrupted building line at street level through infill development. And the articulation of the facade of new buildings shall reflect or complement the traditional patterns of fenestration in the adjacent buildings. So the subject lands are zoned D2. There are holding provisions associated with this zone, but they do not apply to the proposed development. And so the D2 zone permits ground floor, or permits multiple dwellings above ground floor and above the ground floor and commercial uses, and then a minimum building height of 11 meters is required in this zone. So the specific areas of discussion today are: does the proposal represent compatible integration with the surrounding area in terms of use, scale, form, and character? Does the proposal provide connections and access to all buildings and places for all users regardless of age and physical ability? And does the proposal use materials that are consistent and compatible with the surrounding context? So that concludes my presentation. Thank you for listening.
We're now ready for the consultant to provide additional information. Please keep the presentation under 10 minutes.
Thank you. If I can do this correctly, I'll share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe Kevin, my client, has just joined us, but I'm not quite sure. Anyways,
I am here, Rick,
okay, good. So you can help me out if I stumble and fall?
for sure.
Okay, good. Kevin is our client for SkyDragon. SkyDragon is a community-oriented venture. It's a ground floor commercial, second floor studio, and third floor. The new twist on it is they're introducing 3 new residential units on the third floor. So the intention is for it to still to remain community focused, but become a bit more interesting in sort of the offerings to the community, and also bringing in the residential mix as well. So this is a before and after photo, the existing condition, and then the proposed infill building. Located on King William Street, which has recently become rejuvenated. D2 zoning. This is the existing context. Sky Dragon is here, and this is Templar Flats, and to the left of it is the La Una addition. So we were sort of the architects for Templar Flats and also the La Una addition. So it's nice that Kevin considered us to help him with this project as well. This is the view from Houston Street. The red patch is basically where the site is. This is an entrance to. It's actually the entrance to the service area of all the restaurants on the ground floor. The actual entrance to this site would be through the parking lot and through the new sidewalk. View of the context, the Lister edition, Templar Flats, and the Sky Dragon as well. Oops, ended up at 22. Hang on. So this is the context within the parking lot. A little bit about the zoning and the building design. So the intention is to make the building accessible, still maintain its existing character, and as much as possible maintain the operation of the ground floor commercial through the construction. This is that's the site and pedestrian access by way of this easement. And currently there's a fence which blocks off the rear of the property. So the new entrance would occur in this area. So we would be building out from here. This is the floor plan of the existing building. So the property line is at this, slightly out from here. Existing ground floor commercial space, wide open, and this is the sort of the essentially the front door to the facility. And this is the survey with the existing building ending here, and then our addition at the back, and the new elevator located at this location. So pedestrian access could be either from through the coffee shop, or could be through the sidewalk into this into the rear entrance here. So this would be used probably that night if the commercial is closed. We have a funny situation where the neighboring property actually exits onto our property, so we wanted to maintain that. So we've created a bit of a secure kind of vestibule here for both properties, both to protect the access to the upper floor of this building, and also to facilitate the exiting of the other building. So we have a series of stairwells, a new stair being constructed that would serve the second floor, and the third floor, which has 3 residential units. And these would actually be condominium units. Front elevation, which would remain pretty much unchanged, and the rear elevation, which we think has like a bit of a a bit of an industrial sort of like back alleys kind of feel, but done in a pleasant way with nice proportions, and some interest, some attention to the ground floor in terms of the access to the building, and then also the secure bicycle storage. And this is the building in context. So the sidewalk entrance here, and also the front entrance from the street. That's the view from Houston Street. So we're kind of filling in the gap. And then the proposed rear elevation. This is the rear. This is the entrance door that gets us into the elevator lobby and into the residential directly into the residential portion of the building by way of the elevator lobby. And then that's the exit door from the neighboring property. The materials we're proposing are the charcoal brick on the ground floor, and gray corrugated horizontal siding on the upper stories, with balconies, with Juliet balconies, punched windows where the stairwell is. So that concludes my presentation. Kevin, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Thanks, Rick. Yeah, I guess I would just say really quickly, the big thing for our organization is that, we've had a community center for a lot of years that's never been accessible, and it's been a significant barrier to use, full use anyway, of the space. And so we had a bit of a challenge of how to do the renovations necessary to the building, not only to make it accessible, but to, the roof's going to be upgraded, all these other things that are going to be happening that the building needs, and how to finance it. And that's why, the 3 condominium units on the 3rd floor, that's where they come in, right? So that's our ability as a small nonprofit to finance this project, and to have the income from those condominium units fund the redevelopment, which not only make it accessible, but also it'll greatly expand the community space on the 2nd floor. So there'll be 3 large multi-use rooms. I think at least 1, maybe 2, if I'm not mistaken, will have a kitchenette in them, so they can be used for things like cooking classes, all kinds of community meetings, you name it. So anyway, we're excited about the possibilities that this project brings to make this building really live again, and get it filled with community use.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. At this time, I'll provide an opportunity for each panel member to seek clarification. Any points that may require further explanation. So the first panelist, Iana.
Thank you, David. Thank you for the presentation. I don't have any questions at this time. Thanks.
Jennifer Seisen.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Jennifer and Rick, for your presentations, and Kevin as well for your comments. I have 2 questions. The first is almost a 2-parter. I was wondering if you could speak to the decision to recess the entry and stair doorways at the back of the building, why they're necessary, and what measures you're taking there to enhance passive surveillance and the perception of safety in these spaces.
The recess at the back is driven in great part by the exiting of the adjacent building. If we didn't recess it, the exit door of the adjacent building would not, we would be blocking their exit. So that was the primary driver of recessing it.
Okay, and the other 2 entrance and exits for the stairs?
They are basically recessed so that the door swing does not swing over the parking lot property. So we didn't want to encroach onto the parking lot property when the doors are open.
Okay. And then my second question was, I saw a tree protection detail in the package, but I didn't see any trees on site. I just wanted to confirm if any trees were anticipated to be impacted by this.
No.
Thank you. That's it for me.
Jennifer?
Thanks, David. I have a question for Jennifer Allen, I think, or and or Richard, and it's probably a zoning or building permit question. The entrance to the residential units is from the back through the pedestrian easement. I'm wondering if, from a zoning point of view, is that a primary entrance for residential, or is the primary entrance actually through the coffee shop, which is considered a condo lobby? I'm just wondering, like fire truck access, etc. Is the address on King William with the egress basically at the back? How does it work from a zoning point of view?
Hi. So I believe that the principal entrance for the building would be the front entrance. Maybe I'll just double check the comments received from zoning for this property because I don't want to interpret it on behalf of the building division who interprets the zoning bylaw. But it's my understanding that that would be the front entrance would be considered the principal entrance, as it's noted in the submission package that the residential units can be accessed from the front, but that's a alternative entrance for when the commercial use is closed. So,
Thank you. That's it for me.
Eldon?
No comments. Thank you very much.
Ted? You're muted, Ted, I think. I still think you're muted.
Mm.
Hear this? Hello?
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay, good.
But you're pretty quiet.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, apologies for that. Okay, one question, and I'm reading in that it's 93 meters is the height on this.
You're drifting out of.
Oh, I'm understanding that the height is 93 meters on this property, correct?
The allowable height, is that?
Yeah. Is that the case? Am I? So, given that height, was there consideration for and given the notion that the condos are supplementing the costs of this accessibility, was there consideration for topping up this this upper level? The Templar Flats, I think, start to set a precedent for kind of heritage structure that has a penthouse that's set back and has a great rhythm to the street. Was that something that was considered here?
I think we did consider it in the early stages of the project. Kevin expressed the fact that he wanted the building to pretty much remain in operation as much as possible. And in doing Templar Flats, we had to do some pretty major structural work. He would basically have had to shut down the operation of the building for about a year and a half, and that just was not doable in terms of his program and the revenues that he's getting from the commercial use. The footprint's very small. It would be really tough to do. And Templar Flats, we benefited by the fact that we are connecting 3 buildings together. This building still has a relatively small footprint, and structurally it would have been very difficult to add a floor onto it.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just quickly add to that. We just had also, when we were considering these plans, we just had Relay come on as a ground floor tenant, and that was a big part of our consideration. Less that the financial impact of the organization, just that was. I mean, they had to move from concession because of their building being purchased and the rent tripling overnight, and they had just come downtown to work with us, and we were, that was a big part of it. So we didn't want to throw them out of another building too.
Any more questions, Stan? No, okay. I just have one question, maybe more for the city representatives. It's just about the scale and nature of this project. Is this seems maybe a bit modest for our consideration? What generates its appearance before us, I guess? Somebody can.
All developments within the downtown are subject to going to review through the design review panel, and in this case the facade is visible from Houston Street North, and that was why we wanted to see this go through DRP. So I don't know if Shannon has anything to add, but
okay, I think that's it for questions. Based on the information presented, each panel member will now provide feedback and recommendations. So I'd ask Jana to speak first.
Thank you, David. I don't really have any major issues with the overall design and materials used. I would just have one comment. I would caution you on the design of the new ground floor entrance areas from the parking lot, as Jennifer was suggesting. They do not seem very friendly or inviting. Quite the contrary, the recesses are fairly deep and narrow, and the fencing around the egresses, the visibility screen to enclose the bike parking, none of these elements is inviting. So I would really suggest to try coming up with a better interface with the sidewalk. I do recognize that this is the rear of the house, but it's still, these are still main entrances for those residential units. So the entrance is there, and it could be designed with a better interface, safer interface. But I don't have any other concerns with this application. Thank you.
Jennifer Sison.
Thanks. So I'd have to echo what Jana said. I think the recessed entryways, while I understand they provide access to the adjacent building and avoid swinging doorways into the path of travel, give me some concern for safety. They conceal these entryways from public view and could really create a corner for someone to hide in. As it also becomes the main entry after hours, safe access becomes a really important concern to me. I'm thinking potentially bringing these doors flush to the face of the building, if you could, at least for the stairs, with inward swinging doors. And adding windows or transparency could reduce the risk of passerbys being doored. Lighting is also going to be an important consideration to increase the perceived sense of safety in these areas without creating a nuisance for the residential apartments that are above. And I do think the location of the bike parking here should help somewhat with adding some passive surveillance after hours, but I think, like Jana, more could be done here. To me, it's really a big improvement over what's existing, though I would have appreciated more amenity space. I also understand that the site is constrained and the amenity of living downtown compensates for the lack of green spaces in this case. So thank you, that's all my comments.
Eldon.
Yeah, so thank you for the presentation, and I do want to commend you on revitalizing and enhancing and providing for reuse of an existing building, particularly a building that has heritage or historical attributes to it, and recognizing those expansions are occurring along the rear, an area that is not as publicly visible. I do share many of the comments shared by my colleagues on our design review panel. So I won't repeat those, but I do want to acknowledge the efforts that you've made in terms of what I think is sensitive infill and sensitive out push, I guess, extension of the building within this context. Thank you.
Ted?
Thanks. Yeah, I think this is a laudable development, particularly around taking a heritage structure and making it accessible for use, both in the washrooms, the access, and the vertical circulation. So I think that's a really positive benefit. I can't help returning to the rooftop of this building, and given that a new stair and access is going through the building, there seems to be an opportunity there that's potentially being missed in terms of that being a habitable rooftop, or a one-story structure that potentially could build off of the existing structure. Don't know, but it seems to me an opportunity that would enhance both the project and the streetscape and the urban condition. My only comment on the rear facade would be that if you look at page 6 that shows all of the buildings, the contextual urban kind of rhythm, it feels very vertical. And I would say that this addition has a very square, more the proportions are a little different. And it feels as though, for instance, the stair fenestration could be entirely a vertical swath that would help to create a verticality that blends more effectively with its neighbors. That I may just be expressing an opinion, but that's what I see. But otherwise, I think this is a reasonable approach, and wish you luck.
I agree with the comments that commend you for the efforts you're doing, and the both in terms of working with the existing fabric of the city, retaining it, and also the program that you're putting in, and the efforts as a community nonprofit. I think it's great. I think I don't really have many reservations with what you're doing. I think there's some refinement on the entrance that others have described. And so I support the material application. I have no concern with the metal. I think it's not atypical to have that kind of material in a laneway condition like this, or at a semi, back lane-ish condition, to have those kind of things. So I think we all might approach the design of the facade subtly differently. I think it's the approach that you have is not without merit, and so I have no problem supporting the project as it is. One question that I was looking at one of the pictures. It looks like you have to step up from the curb, the sidewalk, to get into the rear area now, if I remember from the context correctly. And if the accessibility is part of your agenda, I don't know whether somehow that is resolved when this addition, that the entrance is at a level that would allow somebody in a wheelchair to enter from the rear. I assume that's the case, but
yes, it'll be made level.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Otherwise, great project, a great organization, and I think a commendable part of the institutional fabric of the city. So good luck with your efforts there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, thank you for your feedback. It's very valuable, and Kevin and I will be discussing. So thank you. Kevin, do you have any comments?
I was just going to say, Ted, if you got a couple $100,000 to shoot us, we'll do that rooftop extension. Otherwise, it's not in the budget, unfortunately.
Thanks. I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
Couldn't help myself.
It looks like it's an incremental process, though. Who knows what the future will hold? You do have that potential. So
Definitely.
don't
This is what's doable.
don't.
This is what's doable right now.
Yeah. So I think that opportunity will remain. So anyway, good luck again. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.